Welcome to Modern Pipeliner Podcast, Energy Industry Interviews, Season 1. Interviews of key players in the energy industry.
Yeah.
Hey, good to have you here. I'm just going to go right into it. And we're going to get to know a little bit about you and your company. And what we're about is energy industry interviews, interviewing all the great people such as yourself. So, with that being said, what's your story? What's your resume? How did you get to here? Let us know.
Well, all right, Tim, I appreciate you having me on, and we'll get right into it, and I'll try to make it quick. But so back I started off in the industry. I went to trade school, had a non-destructive testing class. So I went through that and got into the industry and stuff. And I moved around. I originally lived in Opelousas and moved to New Orleans, got into it out there. And from there, found a woman that I ended up marrying. We moved back to Opelousas. I was working in Lafayette, and then we rolled into Sulphur. And every time I came to Sulphur, which is where she was from, I saw the opportunity there. As a young man, I thought that would be a good opportunity and stuff. So ended up in Sulphur, worked there for 5 years for a company. And in 2005, I'm sorry, wish 1995, I got introduced to some guys and they offered me a position. I interviewed a couple of times and so I ended up going to work for this company and stuff. And, the owner was super guy. I learned a lot from him, took a lot of ass chewings,
Yeah.
but it was always what I mean? Like him and the general manager, these two guys, Dow Miller and Pat Manuel, they just, I don't know, I could accept constructive criticism real well. You know what I mean? I always felt like they were trying to help me, but at the same time, it's like, ah, damn, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but there's always more we can do, right? So, and they taught me that, I had two kids right away. And so being a manager, before I went there, I was doing my job pretty well and stuff to where I wanted customers to call me and stuff so I could feed those two little fellas and my wife as well. So, I got there, they ended up hiring me and stuff. And I thought, well, everybody works like I do. And I was wrong, but I learned a lot from that. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's how you treat people and stuff and how you talk to people makes a big difference and stuff. And so there was some things that went on. We only had a few 4 trucks maybe there time I started. And it was in June of 95. By September, I reached out to some guys that I'd worked with in the past, brought them on board. Just, we made some good changes, and the owner and the general manager was on board with it and stuff. So we were, by September, we were able to make some pretty good changes, grow the business and stuff. And we had 9 trucks by then. So from there, we just kind of keep rolling on. And again, this is more of an industrial side. I wasn't in the pipeline sector at all. I say at all. We did do some pipeline work and stuff out of our Lafayette office, maybe the Baton Rouge office as well. I was not familiar with that at all. I was just used to working on the industrial side. So from there, we started growing it and making some money and stuff, and it was fun. Just like I said, these two guys were very instrumental in where I'm at today.
That's awesome.
Just from the things that I've learned from them, and those two guys have been, they're successful, of course, but their energy just kind of gave me energy as well, which I've never really had to wake up in the morning and go, I need energy. I've always been, self-driven person and stuff, just like yourself. So
That's great.
So we go from there, and they sell the company to Team Industrial Services at the time, back in 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. And the guy that I worked for actually became our general manager. So he oversaw everything, that all of our offices and stuff. So it was kind of, there was no big transition of anything and stuff. It's like, all right, well, we all still together. Well, they made some changes, bought another company out of bankruptcy, and then put those guys over us. And start a lot of head knocking going on and stuff. And so Neil eventually went off and started his own company with 3 trucks. And yeah, I was still with team at the time. So I kind of was stuck in limbo. I was like, maybe I'm going to go start my own company because I don't want to be here. You know, I mean, the changes they had made, the company that they bought out of bankruptcy was going to bankrupt us. And I was like, well, I don't want to be no part of this.
Yeah.
The way I manage it and stuff. And it's nothing against Team. If anybody ever hears this, Team is a great company. I know a lot of people that work for Team.
Yeah.
But at that time, you know, the things that they were doing, just I didn't feel comfortable with and stuff.
Right.
So no strike against them, you know. So I ended up opening an office for Neil in 2005 in Sulphur, and we start growing and stuff. And at that time is probably about when I started getting into the pipeline side of it. I started going up to the Haynesville Shell. You know, we were doing a lot of stuff for the Barnett Shell, and I would basically hire, you know, a technician and a helper, and you know, send them up there and stuff. And as that started to slow down, the Haynesville Shell was starting, so I started making my way up there, and I got hooked up with some guys with Petrahawk, which is now Kinder Morgan, of course, and was able to kind of grow that area and stuff. We never really got into opening an office up there. As it got slower and stuff, we kind of moved down to the Eagleford Shell, just like everybody else. You know, we moved around, but as a company and stuff, we were growing and got to opening different offices and stuff. I was part of opening out a port office, which is doing really well, right? We opened an office in Colorado, Fort Worth. I actually bought a company in Fort Worth. We had an office there, but we did buy a company that they do a lot of well testing and stuff. And then they do x-ray as well. So we combined those 2 offices, then opened up in Odessa, and bought another company in Pennsylvania. That's, you know, so over time and stuff, we eventually went from, you know, the 3 trucks that he started with to just growing it, hiring good people. We really have a good group of guys that I get to work with every day and stuff. And so I eventually just became our director over all the sales guys and stuff. I don't really consider that a title because I want to get out there and sell, but I do appreciate the fact that I get to help these guys. You know what I mean? Been in the industry long enough to where if they have questions, I can always give them my thoughts. And, you know, sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong, even though I've been there that long and in the industry and stuff, it doesn't mean it's always right.
Right.
So, so right now, that's kind of where we're at. You know, the industry's coming, you know, the market's coming back and stuff, and it's been fun. It's probably the first time, maybe 2 months ago, where I heard, hey, we need to hire people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's been a fight for everybody and the struggles for everybody. We were able to kind of work through it and stay afloat. So we're gonna keep on pressing, man.
Good. Yeah, that's a great story, Scott, to hear it all the way through, you know. So when would you say that you became passionate about your focus in energy?
Immediately, the relationships and you know, anytime, and I wasn't just in sales at the time. I was doing management and sales, so those 2 together can take up a lot of your time if you're trying to line up guys to go to work, and then you're trying to go pick the work as well and stuff. And then eventually, but even in that moment, you know, to answer your question was like, you know, the passion came when you can go and visit a guy and stuff, and then next thing you know, you're having dinner with him and his wife. And then he's coming over to your house and you're hanging out and stuff. I was like, man, that's, you know, and everybody builds those relationships and stuff. And I thought that was probably the best part of it.
Yeah.
And I still do that, you know,
Of course.
to go sit with someone in a duck blind or whatever, you know, go sit on a boat. I love building relationships, and, you know, I hope I can keep doing that.
Yeah. Well, and I've been out with you as well, and we've had some good old times for sure.
Absolutely.
So, When you first started your profession, what is something that's more challenging than you had expected it to be?
Probably from a more of a employee side. I think that from a sales side, people are always going to be willing to give you an opportunity. If you can go sit in front of someone, I I always use the 300%, or like a batter in baseball. Let me go see 10 people. If I can
Yeah.
get three of them, I did well.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I would love to get more, but people kind of just don't know, right? But from an employee side, sometimes I just saw things that kind of distract me and stuff. And the way our youth is coming up and stuff, there's so many drugs and stuff out there, and it's like, you got a good employee, and maybe you go to drug screening, you know what I mean? And then something came up, and it's like, didn't see that in that guy, right?
Right. Right.
Uh, and it's disturbing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they have so much potential, and so they allow themselves to get into that position. And for me, that's just upset. It's it, sorry, it upsets me and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. And in the staffing world that I'm involved in, those are the questions I have to hammer on these guys, like, because as soon as we get that phone call, your butt's going down there to go do it, so
right,
I mean, don't lie, because it's the first thing that's going to happen. And,
especially,
and
yeah,
lo and behold, you'll have one or two of them, that'll tell you, hey, I'm good. I'm good. And then, all right, we'll go down there, and then they just never even show up or something. It's like, guy,
yeah,
why did we do this song and dance here even?
yeah. It is some. I'm not gonna say disturbing, because there's so many good guys out there, but
Sure.
it's definitely distracting.
Yeah,
It's like, and it puts you in a bind, as well as us and stuff sometimes. So,
exactly. So what is some good life lessons that you learned from the industry?
well, I would say, and I don't want to recover what we just talked about and
Sure.
stuff, but I would say that, the people that I've got to meet and stuff, and from, like I told you, when I started, I was 25 years old. I got into management, and I was very fortunate that at a young age, I had people that were able to help me be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
These were two good guys that took me on and said, "We're, you're gonna do this pretty much."
Yeah.
And they didn't know me, but they could see,
Yeah.
I guess, the good in me,
Yeah.
and I think that, those type of lessons I try to pass on. Like, I try to look at people and stuff, and I look back at, in the years that I was a manager, and how many guys are out there that I hired that are doing well.
Right.
And I heard a lot,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of them that I actually compete against now and stuff. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, um, the lesson is, just keep keep doing what I do and stuff, because I want to see people, whether we compete against them or not. If I brought them in, and I've helped them along the way and stuff, I guess it's no different than a football coach. You know what I mean? Taking
Yeah.
someone in, all right, you got to go now and stuff. And
Yeah.
so that's just part of life. You know what I mean? Part of business. They're gonna People are gonna know they're good, and they're gonna go tap them on the shoulder and stuff. And so that's been, and I run across these guys so many times, and I'm like, just I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just running into them at future events and things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's a few handful of guys that I know in the industry that I've put them under my wing for a period of time, and that they're none of those guys are making less than 100K a year, and
right,
and
yeah,
when you do that for people, it changes their life and the family's life, and it's the lessons that you teach them, just like you're talking about the lessons that you were taught, and then you,
pass
you
it on.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong.
And so, let's say, what was your worst and best project?
Well, I guess the worst one, I don't know if it's the worst one, because there's been a couple of times where I've had a project go kind of bad and stuff. And,
Well, we all
I,
have.
I
I
feel
think
like,
that's why it's a good
you know,
question, is
so,
because
so
everyone's
I
got one.
absolutely, but it's so hard to detail sometimes because in our industry, and, you and I have had this conversation before, is that when we send a truck out there, we have no eyes in these guys. You know what I mean? Their job is to go do what they're supposed to do. But it doesn't mean if it's not being overlooked by someone else that they're not doing their job. So in our industry, you got a technician and an assistant, and you expect those guys to go because I can't go sit out there
Right.
and watch every day. We all have jobs to do and stuff. So many things can go wrong if that you're trusting those two guys to do what they need to do, or three, or whatever it is and stuff. And we've had some projects go wrong, and it's hard to look at one. I know we screwed up on a job a long time ago. I was young, and our GM came to me and he said, "Hey, you need to go talk to the VP, him, of the contractor, and take him to an LSU game. We're going to take y'all to Tennessee and LSU." And he's a big LSU guy. So I said, "I don't want to do that. We need to fix this shit." You know what I mean? Like, we screwed up. Let's fix it. And he said, "Man, just go talk to him." So I go talk to the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." So me and him and our wives, we go up to, Knoxville. But I've never felt comfortable about that. I mean, that was a long time ago, so obviously it's over with. But we screwed that job up, and I felt like we need to own up to what we did, and we didn't. You know what I mean? I got to go play golf and go to an LSU game, and we did. It did cost us a lot of money and stuff, not just for that trip. We paid and stuff, but I don't know. I always felt like that was, and I was young, like I said, and I never appreciated that part of it and stuff. So,
We all have the worst projects under our belts, but what was your best project?
oh, Tim, man, if I told you that I had the one best project, I would be taken away from a lot of people and stuff because I've had a lot of them, man. And those are always the ones that you appreciate where everything goes well,
Right.
and just in the last few years, so we'll leave that one at that.
Good, good. And so, what is something positive about you outside of work that most familiar with your work would not know?
Well, I don't know. I feel like my golf game's pretty good.
Good. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, people don't know this, and I don't know if people ever get this opportunity to have. So, I would say, besides my work industry and stuff, and then my friends that I have,
Yeah.
I probably have a group of about 20 some guys, and we play golf on the weekends or whatever. They're not always all there, but the group of friends that I have made, and, I mean, just like my pipeline buddies, this
Sure.
group of guys are guys that I see on a regular basis. And we go cut up, we go on golf trips and stuff. I enjoy, I'm an outdoors guy. I can't stand to be inside, whether or not I'm looking outside going, I want to go do something.
Yeah.
I just always been that way. So, but probably the fishing and golfing, that's two of my favorites, man. Can't beat
Good.
them.
Good. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of
Anybody who wants
people,
to go to Hackberry and go fishing, tell them to call
yeah,
me.
there you go. Yeah, man. No, I hadn't been over that way in a little bit, but I imagine I'll be there here in the next few months or something heading that direction. What's something about your industry that's changed recently that's kind of like unexpected in a sense?
COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I don't know, Tim, that anything's changed that much other than the work. Our industry's obviously slowed down for several different reasons and stuff, but I feel like that's pretty much on the comeback right now. So, uh, that's a good question and a fair question, but I don't have that much for that one.
Yeah, y'all still rocking along.
Yeah,
Unexpected, but we deal with it how we need to.
absolutely.
Are there any decent sized projects coming down the pipeline? What are y'all keeping your eyes on? What is coming up in the market that you'd like to discuss?
So, we started to look at Kinder Morgan and these guys, what they're fixing to come out with, what Williams is doing up in North Louisiana again. We're seeing a lot of stuff out there. So it's kind of, to me, what everything that I'm seeing it looks like it was, probably maybe 3 years ago, not 4 or 5 years ago, but just all these bigger projects that's been put on hold and stuff are starting to, you know, come to fruition and stuff. And it's like, I think 23 and 24 looks really good and stuff,
Good,
going into the future and stuff.
good, good. So, what is your vision for energy in the next 5, 10, 50 years in the future? I
I
mean,
wish.
with all this, with all that's going on, but go ahead.
Uh, oh, I don't know. I think we're in an industry and stuff where it's always going to be needed, and I don't see that changing and stuff. I know, everybody, a lot of people want something different, depending on whether you're Democrat or Republican and stuff. And I mean, just some people want to see different changes and stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot of things you can't change. We have to have it. So
Yeah, yeah,
I think, I think for the next 10 years, 20 years, not much is going to change. It's just my thought.
yeah,
I mean, we'll have peaks and valleys just like just it is what it is. And I
yeah.
hate using that phrase, but
We got about 10 minutes left here. What is something that you would like to ask the host of Modern Pipeliner?
well, I haven't thought about that, Tim. No, no,
Okay.
you travel around, you see a lot of things and stuff as well. I mean, I guess you guys seeing the same things that we're seeing. That I mean, everything's kind of starting to get to where we would like for it to be. And what locations, I mean, you guys are working in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, where we've been working supporting contract construction companies, we've been actually going over more Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia way. And so that's kind of been rare for me to kind of do more work that way with supporting personnel over there. But I've also been seeing like a large uptick in upstream, which is out in Permian area at least. And so it seems like upstream's going maybe in a few other locations, so usually midstream and downstream kind of fall after that. I've seen some really large refineries and plant projects coming up, and so usually that'll have lines laying into them. And so as these big multi-billion dollar jobs are happening, I'm sure there's going to be pipelines coming into those new facilities and things down in Corpus area down that way's been becoming a hub. So yeah, I think you're still going to get set up, especially if we're going to be exporting product. You're going to watch those port areas and all the plants in between there and stations in between there. And there's still going
Yeah.
to be
So
all the
you
maintenance
know,
on the assets as well, so that are already existing. So
yeah, I've been in sulfur for a long time, and I look at that ship channel now and what it is, with Cameron LNG and Cheniere and they're, I mean, Driftwood, what they're fixing to do and stuff, and
yeah,
it's crazy. Like you said, you get in those ports and waterways and stuff, and it's like, man,
yeah,
they they Corpus done. I mean, they've gotten overwhelmed with just we've never really been able to kind of tap into that market because we never had an office there. I think that's one of the locations we were actually looking at going into right
yeah,
before COVID. Um, and then we put it off and stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a lot of good work out there. Yeah.
Do you guys have any event or products or services or anything that we can help you guys promote to the audience?
I guess as a subcontractor and stuff that we typically don't put on our own event and stuff. You've seen us cooking and stuff for the clay
Yeah.
shoot, and
Cook
we
some
do
gumbo.
the same thing. Yeah, we do the same thing down in Port Aransas. We try to help out on Louisiana stuff as well. So, but doing our own personal event and stuff like that, yeah, that's, I guess, something that we've never really looked at. Probably not a bad idea though to grab a bunch of people and go try to. I mean, people are always going to want to come help out and join in. So
Yeah.
we may need to look into that, Tim.
Or fishing event or something.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Hackberry, I live right down the road.
There we go. There we go. What is the best way for the audience to support you guys or your company and get in contact with y'all for ordering some x-ray services?
Through me. Have a website and stuff.
Yeah.
I think if you take a look at our website, and our industry has kind of gotten to where the old conventional radiography and stuff it's never going to be obsolete, but it's getting more and more where people want either a crawler, and it saves a lot of time.
Okay.
Now we have an RTR unit, which is real-time radio. It's really jam up equipment that so we're keeping up with with all the things that are going on as these guys come in and they don't want a buttload of film. I mean, it's like it's all done. It's pretty cool. I think if y'all people look at our website and stuff, they'll see that. So
and what's the website again?
NIS like NIS, see my shirt. NDT.com.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure catching back up with you. And, I'm going to go ahead and prepare all this in the next few weeks and get you guys some little content to help promote you guys going into 2023. And hopefully you gain some new audience, maybe some new people come visit you that you didn't know about yet.
And I appreciate it, Tim.
Hey, Scott, it's been good catching up. I'll catch up with you soon, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Take care.
You too, brother. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Bye.
After 40 people production.